Leigh Whannell is one of Hollywood's best horror writers and horror directors. He has written with James Wan the Saw movie, the original, and then the original Insidious, two fantastic movies. And then he has directed and written 4 movies on his own. Those are the 4 movies that we are here to talk about today, as we are ranking the 4 Leigh Whannell directed movies, right here and right now. Before we dive into the filmography of Leigh Whannell, I want to know your opinions on Leigh Whannell's movies down below. What did you rank them? What did you think of The Wolfman? Now, I do have a Wolfman review over on Zachary Movie Chat, which, if you've watched the channel introduction, if you've watched the short I put out about why I changed channels, if you're here from over on there and you have seen that video, thank you. But if you want to know more thoughts on The Wolfman, go check it out over there. But obviously, it's a new channel. We're swapping things over to this channel, so I'm not going to have that. And with that said, we are going to start off with discussing the fact that the first movie is really good. I'd go as far to say it's great. The second movie is really good. But besides that, Leigh Whannell is a director that I think excels more at writing. He has a sauce here, but when he writes a good script, it is a great script. We'll talk about that with the first two, the number 1 and number 2 on this list. But I do think Leigh Whannell is a very good writer and director. I don't think he's as perfect as a lot of people say, but especially that he wrote Saw and he wrote Insidious, 2 of the best horror movies ever made. So I instantly trust him with everything he does. And with that said, number 4 on this list is The Wolfman, my least favorite project Leigh Whannell has ever done. It doesn't matter if he wrote it, doesn't matter if he directed it. It's my least favorite out of all of those. I walked out of the theater trying to stay positive on it, trying to go, you know what, that was an okay, but on the low side, but it was okay at least. And the more I think about the movie, the more I realize that I just didn't enjoy it. I just didn't enjoy the film that much. The first act, I think, works enough. I think even when we get to the actual crash where you meet the Wolfman, I think that I was invested up to that point. I was like, okay, this is going in an interesting direction. I'm down for this. And then we kind of get away from that. And we get to the cabin, and it's just, for the next hour, him transforming into the werewolf. And it's really slow. It's a lot of him walking around the building like, whoa, what's happening to me? It's a lot of that. There are some cool sequences there. Leigh Whannell has a sauce, so like when you see through the vision of the Wolfman, it's very good, but it can get really boring. And then the third act is just the same thing over and over again. You got to survive the werewolf going after you. Run away from the werewolf. That is literally all the movie is. And for a movie that I was excited about the concept, I was so excited that Leigh Whannell was attached, there's nothing more, not a lot of substance in this movie. They try to add stuff about the family and the family dynamic here, which I think makes the characters more likable, but you don't really dive into that. You just have it for the beginning, and then kind of just, you have the random scenes where the father's like, I gotta protect you. That's it. And so, definitely a movie that I was bored by. And I hate to say that I was bored by, but like, I constantly was trying to like, come on, get interesting. Do something. And it never did. It constantly kept me like, okay, this is very disappointing. And it was going to be my most anticipated list if I filmed it before I saw this movie. Glad I didn't, because it's instantly in my most disappointing movies of 2025. Number 3, and let's get something clear. This is a pretty big step up from my number 4. This is Insidious Chapter 3. So I watched this one last night for the first time. Was not excited to watch, even though I should have been. It had Leigh Whannell writing and directing. The first 2 Insidious movies are really good. Problem is, I haven't heard a lot of great things about the sequel. And the one film of the sequels that I have seen, which was Insidious The Red Door, I hated with a passion. And so I was just dreading watching this, hoping for everything. It wasn't a typical haunted house boring movie. And it was not a typical haunted house boring movie. It was good. I like the movie. I like the family that is here. It adds more of an interesting dynamic where you had the family that's just lost someone and they're trying so desperately not to lose someone else. and I love their chemistry throughout the entire film. There's interesting themes here that work for this movie. I think the scares here are really good. I don't like scares where like you have people look over here and look back over here and look over here. Oh, there's something there. I hate scares like that. They're so predictable and boring. This film had a few scares like that, but there was one here that I think was really effective that rivaled that original jump scare in that first film where you look over the ledge. Oh, he jumped. Okay. Oh, I'm going to go see now. And then, whoa, like that got me. That got me. I've told stories all over on Zachary Movie Chat. Now I got to tell a story here. When I saw that first Insidious, I had headphones in, watching it on the TV, so my parents didn't hear the horror movie. And so, just so I can hear the horror movie better, hear every word they were saying. And when that first jump scare happened with the red man behind the main character, I screamed. It got me so hard. I woke my entire family up. And I almost had a repeat of that last night when I saw Insidious Chapter 3 because this jump scare was so good. I do think that this is the weakest script that Leigh Whannell's ever put out besides The Wolfman, because the film decides to rush over a couple things. The whole reason why Elise gets back into this business, you have this whole sad backstory about her, and she just goes to dinner with this random guy, and he's like, hey, you need to start helping people again. It don't matter if someone's going to try to kill you. She's like, oh, okay. Easy as that. Okay, yeah, that was a little bit rushed. And then, like, the overall ending after everything happened kind of rushes a couple things, like how they decide to get Elise and the two guys working together. It was kind of just like, hey, what if we work together? Okay. That's it. No discussion or anything. They're instantly working together. So, a weaker script really held this one back. I didn't think it was one of his best and most smart scripts. But I do think Insidious Chapter 3 is something I did not want to see worked out, and I thought it was a good movie. Number 2, and this is where we start diving into the best Leigh Whannell movies territory, is The Invisible Man. I really liked The Invisible Man. That first half, I was not invested whatsoever. I found the character that Elizabeth Moss was playing to be extremely unlikable. Like, yeah, I get this is happening to her, but there's so many ways she could have displayed it more to have people believe her that I was constantly like, okay, girl, you need to do something else. Like, whatever you're doing is not working. You need to do something else to get people to believe you. So I just also didn't find her performance to be that likable. But when you get to the second half of the film and it gets into all the actual Invisible Man stuff, that's where I'm all in on this one. It's a more modern reconstruction of the original Invisible Man. So you got all this technical stuff. The Invisible Man looks freaking awesome. Like, that is some of the coolest stuff I've seen in a horror film. That he looked so cool in that suit. And when you dive into all the technical stuff, you dive into all the uncovering what's actually going on and uncovering all that. I really, really dug the movie. The whole final 45 minutes was really thrilling and really worked for me. I also like the ending where you don't really know if the husband was actually doing that. You actually don't know if it was him or the brother. You just see the events unfold out. And I really like that ending. So this, I think, had potential to be my number 1 if I liked that first half a little bit more. But I just could not get invested in it because I didn't like her character. I really didn't throughout that first half. And then when we get to the second half, they do more things with her and make her work better. That first half really was getting uninvested from her character. But when we get to the second half, there are some of the coolest things I've seen. Like, that whole sequence in the hallway where he's killing the cops is awesome. That is such a cool sequence. And so, overall, this is a movie that after the second half, I was all in on this, and I was really hoping that was what The Wolfman would be. Unfortunately, it was not. But my favorite film of Leigh Whannell's filmography, and before I tell you, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell. Go follow my Instagram, I'll have the link down below in the description. Go follow my Twitter, I'll have the link down below in the description. Go follow all my socials, and make sure to subscribe. We're trying to get past what my original channel had by July, and, you know, it's been 2 days since I started this channel. We've already got close to 30 subscribers, which might not seem like a whole lot, but for me, that's kind of cool. It kind of works. But my number 1 Leigh Whannell movie is Upgrade. Now, this was a movie that the first act of it, I was like, okay, it's a little weird. The characters are a little weird. Their chemistry is a little off. But the more we dive into the movie, the more I was like, okay, this is interesting. And this pulls out from where Leigh Whannell writes a perfect script for this movie. He sets everything up perfectly to get to that final scene of the movie where we actually unfold what's happening, get that big twist, and nothing doesn't make sense. Everything makes sense. You're in on the film. You're all in on the movie because Leigh Whannell finds a way to keep you invested the entire time. The premise is really cool. Chemistry that the guy had with the thing inside his head was really good and really funny. The action sequences were brutal. There was some really cool technical stuff where like the guys have guns inside their wrists and stuff. I thought that was really cool. And for a decade and year where AI is more prominent than everything. Heck, I'm using ChatGPT to write my descriptions. AI is more used in everything. This movie hit a little too close to home, where like you got this whole world of AI stuff and the horrors that the AI does really hits close. Because some people believe that this is actually what's going to happen. I don't think it's going to go down like this. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But where the main character is against AI because they're putting people out of jobs and doing all of that. And that is exactly what we're heading into America. So this hits way too close to home. And that really adds more of the impact that this film had. And then again, the action sequences, the twist at the end was masterful and just a great script by Leigh Whannell. That's why Upgrade is my favorite film by Leigh Whannell. What is your ranking of Leigh Whannell's films down below? I would love to know what that is. And while you're down there, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell so you never miss another video. And with that said, subscribe.